Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or your family ever seen a spook, spectre, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call the professionals. Eurogamer.
I'm Eurogamer's Ian Higton, and our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural elimination needs.
Wait, hang on a minute. I'm Eurogamer's Zoe Delahunty-Light, and while I'm definitely courteous and efficient, there is no way I'm on call 24/7.
Okay, so sometimes we might not be there to serve quite all your supernatural needs, so when it comes to slinging spectres, we here at Eurogamer Video HQ thought we'd put together 10 of the best busting games out there. Fancy getting into the business of busting ghosts? You can either go it alone and be self-employed, or team up with up to 5 others to increase your chances of survival. Exorcism is the name of the game in this entry, so rather than trapping ghosts, you're sending them back from whence they came, to the afterlife, and I'm not talking about that Mass Effect nightclub. You'll be visiting all the classic haunts. We're talking castles, mansions, and of course, creepily abandoned houses. Exorcists have several paranormal tools at their disposal for executing those lost souls, such as the EMF detector, the entity analyzer, the threat detector, and the good old surveillance camera. A word of warning, if you flee the scene without completing the objectives, make sure you grab as much equipment as you can, as anything left behind is lost. Once the threat has been identified, provided you haven't turned and run, you can follow the given exorcism protocol, using equipment such as the neutrino gun, holy water, and incense to send the supernatural entities back to where they came from. Understandably, from the spirit side of things, they aren't too eager to leave these planes, so expect all kinds of aggression as they fight back. The game also features proximity voice chat, so while you can only talk to people close by to you, that means you can also chat to the monsters. The game does need a fair bit of grind to unlock all the maps and equipment, and you will find yourself repeating some of the maps to unlock newer ones, but nobody said running a Ghost Corp would be easy. With the game still in early access, we love that this title keeps getting improvements and new ways to terrify you. I mean, just see the dolls in the latest update. Thanks for that nightmare fuel there, developers. And rescue missions give you a bigger reason to fully explore the maps.
Not since the release of the original family computer had Nintendo decided to launch a machine without their plumbing poster boy. With Mario Sunshine still a year away from release, they had a plan B, or more, Plan Luigi. Enter Luigi's Mansion. In the case of Buyer Beware, Luigi gets word he's won a mansion in a contest he didn't even enter. Honestly, I'm worried about how many links he must be clicking these days if that's all it takes for him to pack his plumbing bags and set off. Having informed his iconic brother, they agree to meet at the newly won mansion. However, with Mario now nowhere to be found, and greeted with a mansion that very much doesn't match the advert, Luigi enters alone. He encounters a ghost who is anything but friendly, but is unexpectedly saved by a scientist who unsuccessfully tries to suck up the ghost with a vacuum cleaner. Yeah, you heard me right. The duo evacuate as more ghosts appear, and the scientist introduces himself as Professor Elvin Gadd, or EGAD for short. My god. He explains the mansion is supernatural in origin and only appeared a few days prior. It's time for you to take inspiration from the console design and get a handle on the situation. EGAD entrusts Luigi/you with his ghost hunting equipment, including the Game Boy horror communication device, along with the Poltergust 3000 vacuum cleaner. Oh my god, so many puns. This is where your busting begins, as it's time to clean house. You'll spend your time solving puzzles, busting boos, trying to find Mario, and collecting treasure. And actually, the amount of gold you hoover up does affect your score and ending. Unsurprisingly, given it's Nintendo's home, this is the most family-friendly of our list. Luigi's Mansion is perfect for smaller ghost hunters looking to keep the scares light without losing sleep at night. Luigi's was no one-hit wonder though on his big debut. as you can see the mansion and characters like King Boo in a host of Nintendo titles that came later, including the multiplayer and co-op friendly Luigi's Mansion 3.
If I'm going to hunt the undead, I feel like I can at least try and get a holiday at the same time. The first time I went hands-on with Ghostwire Tokyo, I was blown away with how beautiful virtual Shibuya looks. It feels as if you can literally step into the screen for a walking tour, and what with all the ghostly goings-on, those usually crowded streets are nice and clear for a spot of sightseeing. Okay, clear apart from the yokai, some of which are going to make the place a little more unfriendly, but others are more welcoming and looking for your help. Combat sees you use an arsenal of elemental abilities and ghost hunting skills to battle the supernatural threat. Use your ethereal abilities to ascend to the top of Tokyo's skyline and soar over the streets to discover new missions or even get the drop on your enemies. While it's not the best hunting on our list, it's too beautiful to ignore. Where most hunting titles see you trapped in a single place, Ghostwire Tokyo has a beautiful open world. Add in a mechanic where you can not only talk to animals, but complete small quests for them to earn upgrade currency. This means it's less, can you pet the dog, and more, can I please do everything possible for them? Ha ha, good boy, who's a good boy, who's a good boy.
This series may be old enough to drink in the US, but unlike some of my favourite horror franchises, #SaveSilentHill, this horror franchise with PS2 roots is still going strong with remakes aplenty and another scheduled on the Switch, with Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse coming in 2023. The series was created by Makoto Shibata and Keisuke Kikuchi. After being introduced to the PlayStation 2 hardware and seeing the success of the Silent Hill series, maybe if I say that name a third time a sequel will appear. But back to the game in hand, the duo decided to develop a horror series inspired by Shibata's own spiritual experiences and popular Japanese horror films of the time, which explains why the intro scene carries that classic horror film trope based on a true story. Didn't come here for a history lesson? Well, tough, because the series is rooted in the past, so you're gonna hear it anyway. Fatal Frame, or Project Zero, if you like your Resident Evil as Biohazard, sees players bravely exploring an abandoned Japanese mansion. You'll explore the mansion in third person, much like the aforementioned inspiration for the series. To keep the horror high, you'll be seeing a lot of darkness, so expect to be clutching your flashlight. While your interpretation of abandoned may differ, this particular one is packed to the rafters with ghosts, and you can sense these with your character's sixth sense, but let the ghosts get too near to you for that close-up, and it's game over. Hostile ghosts can only be fought using the camera obscura, an antique camera that can capture ghosts, because of course it can. Priming the camera sees the action switch to an even more intense first-person perspective, and it's down to you to get the ghosts in the frame and score that sweet, sweet damage. Points don't mean prizes, but they do mean precious upgrades for your trusty hand cannon, or maybe it's an icon, other cameras are available, not sponsored by them, promise. Say freeze!
Never mind a VR corner, this is a VR catacomb. I said when I first played this that it could be VR's scariest game ever, and it definitely still holds up to that. The smartest thing this title did was to take the investigate/eliminate experience away from the usual haunted locales and bring things to Egypt. Where a number of titles on this list see you dealing with unexpected hauntings and ghostly trespassers, things are a little more morally grey here. Instead of saving the day, you're there for one reason and one reason only: to get rich! The terrifying magi that infest the tombs you're exploring are simply an obstacle that are blocking your path to greatness. The first stage of any evacuation sees you at base camp. You'll get a map of the temple, some camera screens, and a list of objectives that offer ways to boost your bounty. Once you head into the tomb, you'll start your investigation proper, digging for evidence whilst looting treasure, artifacts, lore pages from your surroundings, and solving puzzles. The second stage sees you stealing the Magi's personal relic, at which point the tomb locks, sealing you inside. The monster, yes, I am playing in denial, and I do see myself as the hero. The monster assumes a physical form to take you down, so you have to find the correct lever in the pitch black, flip it, open the exit, and hightail it out of there as quick as you can. Or with the lever flipped, if you're brave enough, you can always stick around and dig down deeper for even bigger riches. Each Magi plays differently, and without spoiling them all, Talgor is invisible to everything but the camera and tablet, Deccan is blind but has excellent hearing, leaving you looking for a quiet place, and Ufris mimics one of your teammates, meaning you could be looking at a friend or a pharaoh. Zoe, is that you? Death isn't the end though. Find yourself falling to the Magi's or one of the other hostilities in the tomb, and the gods will give you a second chance to return as one of the living dead, giving you the option to help or hinder your still breathing allies with the remainder of their expedition. Mummies aren't allowed a split of the loot though, so while you might fancy helping out, there's really no cash reward, and therefore, in my opinion, no incentive to do anything but be an utter arsehole.
From one game still in early access to one that emerged from that realm in 2021.
The clue is in the name. First you hunt, then there's a showdown. Okay, on to the next entry.
Wait, Ian, come on. You might remember Hunt Showdown from our exploits at EGX Digital 2020, and if you don't, then don't worry, there's nothing to fear, except the giant beasts you'll be facing, of course. In Hunt, you play patron to a bloodline of bounty hunters, all seeking their fortune amid the rot of a 19th century Louisiana that's been overrun by demons. Your task, in the main bounty hunting mode at least, is to find the lair of a legendary monster within the game's open world maps, using your sorceress dark vision to chase swirling blue sparks to clues that narrow down the search area. Having hopefully slain and exorcised the abomination while fighting off other players, you have to collect a bounty and head to a map exit to complete the match. Along the way, you'll find or avoid myriad lesser horrors, from standard zombies who can be treated as speed bumps, providing you don't overlook the ones waving cleavers or torches, to chunkier threats such as the Meathead, a one-armed juggernaut that sees by way of a slithering entourage of leeches. There are a variety of different monsters, but a word of warning to any arachnophobic adventurers, there may or may not be a giant spider boss which moves almost xenomorph-like around its lair and will test even the sternest hunter's nerves. Sounds nice and simple. Get in, slay, and get out, right? Well, no. You aren't the only hunters in town. There are other teams of players looking to do something similar. One may be hunting that same monster, others a different bounty, or the true monsters, crews who just camp out and let other hunters do the hard work before springing their trap and taking you out, nabbing that precious bounty you fought so hard to secure. One of the ways the game helps ramp up its glorious tension is having the hunters you play as leveling up, but if they die during the hunt, they are gone, along with all the guns, perks, and gear that they had. But they don't die in vain. You can still use the XP to unlock further hunters who may fare better next time. You need those lowest of lows to enjoy the high of a successful hunt, getting out alive, and the huge rewards that brings. The game is still seeing updates and boasts a healthy player count, so you'll be sure of finding people to join you in the hunt.
There's got to be another way. We've all been there. You go to a party, you have a few drinks, and all of a sudden you set about conducting an ancient ritual and then something goes awry. Oh, how we laughed. Devour challenges you and up to 3 other cultists to reverse the ritual, and rather than go to hell and back together, your goal is to entirely skip that hell stage. You might remember us streaming and screaming our way through Devour in previous live streams we've done, or when I decided it wasn't scary enough already and dived into the VR patch along with Zoe. Each Devour map not only brings a terrifying new manifestation of the goat demon Azazel, but it also brings completely new environments to explore, items to collect, fiends to overcome, and forbidden rituals to perform. Each gruesome map challenges you to work together in a race against time to find key ritual items, some of which might actually be alive and unwilling. Those unwilling participants being such things as rats and goats. Aoife, look away now.
I don't want to burn the goats.
Those poor unwilling items will need burning or electrocuting a certain number of times as part of the reversal. Yes, it's as awful as it sounds, but you are playing demon-worshipping cultists after all. As you get closer to reversing the dark summoning, the spirit you're hunting grows more aggressive, summoning more and more minions that don't take too kindly to you trying to banish their goat demon overlord. This means every step towards victory also brings the enemy increased speed and larger waves, which wouldn't be so bad if your only form of defense wasn't just a UV flashlight. Locked doors, ritual objects, and item spawns are randomized, so you'll be spending time frantically searching no matter what your level of experience is. However, repeated play does bring rewards. As you gain XP, you can increase your cult rank and earn ritual tokens. These are used to unlock valuable perks, which can mean the difference between living to banish another demon or suffering an agonizing death. One of the reasons this game made the list for me, apart from the fact that you can play it in VR, is that the price tag comes in lower than £6.66, meaning for £20 you can buy a copy for all your cult team and have enough change left over for some ritual candles.
The twist in this entry is that the ghost you're trying to banish in this title isn't anyone, it's you. Well, the game's main character, who has unfortunately died at the opening of this DS title. Rest in peace. From the same creative mind that created Ace Attorney, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective sees Shu Takumi tell the story of Sissel, who wakes up in a junkyard only to find out he's dead. Just seconds after this shocking discovery, he meets a... Hang on, wait, let me check this. Really? Okay. He meets a desk lamp who tells him to save a young woman from certain death at the hands of an assassin after she's already died. In order to do so, you can possess different items, creating your own ghostly Rube Goldberg machine. Despite being otherworldly with its premise, Ghost Trick anchors certain mechanical constraints in its narrative, making it oddly believable. Ghosts can traverse phone lines, for example, but only if those phones have electricity, a constraint that naturally limits your area of play. A lot of things are too heavy for ghosts to move because they're heavy and would already be difficult to move for people with corporeal bodies. Little rules like that make the experience of playing the game more interesting. So you begin exploring puzzle scenes and thinking like a ghost with limited ways to move around. This game features stunning animation, originally created in 3D, then rendered into 2D sprites, meaning in every scene, movement is fluid, and each character is packed with detail in how they behave. Now, bear in mind, there's a lot to read, and with puzzles only having one solution, if you aren't a fan of Phoenix Wright or the classic Monkey Island, you may not be the best person to investigate this case. If you haven't got a DS to hand, the game did also make its way to iOS and had an update in 2021 to keep it running on the current OS, so you can tap and click on your commute.
A very famous set of paranormal investigators once widely advised that people should never cross the streams, but we did exactly that with Midnight Ghost Hunt, crossing over with our friends at Outside Xbox and Dicebreaker. But this list isn't just about showcasing my frankly genius item puns. Midnight Ghost Hunt is a 4v4 hide-and-seek game with a paranormal twist. For the first phase of the game, the ghost hunters need to find and bust the team of ghosts who are disguising themselves prop hunt style as inanimate objects. These ghost hunters have a variety of tools on offer, which helps them to track down the sneaky spooks, but there's only a limited amount of time to do so because once the in-game clock strikes 12, the tables are turned and the hunters become the hunted. The spectres then have 4 minutes to try and slaughter the hunters, who are busy running around like a Scooby-Doo sequence until the emergency evacuation arrives. While this list is mostly focused on fun ways to inflict pain on the paranormal, the ability to play on either team is one of the reasons why we love Midnight Ghost Hunt. You'll never look at inanimate objects in the same way again. Wait, was that mug always next to my desk?
Call it fate. Call it luck. Call it karma. I believe everything happens for a reason, and this list owes a lot to a certain franchise. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed brings firing nuclear-charged weapons in enclosed spaces up to present-day 2022, as you'll become one of the new recruits at the Firehouse HQ. With options to customise your appearance and see how you'd fill out those iconic overalls, it's a must for anyone who wants to try out ghost hunting. Like the films, the Ghostbuster team are called to a location and have to find, then trap the ghost, working as a team to slowly unlock a variety of upgrades and tools to make things a little easier. Meanwhile, if you want to see what lurks on the other side, you can go it alone, slime, torment civilians, and fully haunt the location to seal victory. Taking place after the 2021 film, one of the reasons we love this is the attention to detail in the fan service. Someone tell a younger version of me that she's getting paid to bust ghosts and hanging out with Ray at Razor Cult, and she'd say, "Who the hell are you? Please go away," and then probably, "That does sound pretty dang cool though." For people looking to wield a Proton Pack, it's on PlayStation, PC, and Game Pass right now. If only little Zoe could see me now. Well, there you have it, 10 of our most loved ghostly games for when we want to make sure you're spook-free. What have we missed, and what's your favourite spirit-slaying game? Let us know in the comments below.
We're always on the hunt for things that go bump in the night, so who you gonna call? Eurogamer.net if you're looking for more recommendations, I reckon. Do give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to this channel for almost daily videos about video games, and do have an amazing day. Thanks for watching.
Bye.